Hi, my name's Scott Jura, and welcome to another edition of Power Platform Unpacked. In this episode, I had the absolute pleasure of talking to Megan Walker, or Emoji Megs, as you may know her from Twitter, and we've been talking about Microsoft Portals and how it fits in with the low-code, no-code paradigm of the Power Platform. And I'm sure you'll find out Megan is one of the most awesome people you'll ever have the pleasure of meeting. So stay tuned. Megan.
Hello, Scott.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I should say your full name, Megan Walker. It sounds like a movie star name, I have to say. It does sound as though it's like your stage name.
Yeah, well, no, actually, if you're going to say it, it should be Megan V. Walker.
Megan V. Walker, yes.
Because that's my website.
I am honoured to have with me in the studio Megan V. Walker with her latest blockbuster film. And although having said that, your YouTube channel, you are prolific in your YouTube channel. I mean, it's amazing.
Prolific's a great word, but I'm not sure it applies. But I'm happy with where it's going because I haven't been doing it for that long. So yeah,
it is amazing. Whatever you're doing, it's awesome because there's so much content there. It's amazing. So you've been doing loads of Forms Pro stuff recently.
Yeah. So I saw it was released, and I was I am a huge fan of Voice of the Customer, so I wanted to see what the sort of comparison was, how it would play out if you could do the same sort of things, hopefully that you could do more than you can with Voice of the Customer. So I thought, right, no one's written anything about it yet, let me just dive in, and that's kind of where the blog series and the videos have come from. So with each blog, then you get a video alongside it that's basically, if you just want to sit and watch, here's how you do it, you don't have to read. So that's kind of where that's come from.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's great. And it's very professional the way you've done it as well. I mean, you look at your channel and it's all organised so well. And I noticed you've even got a whole part of your channel on how to do videos in YouTube.
Yes, and I think there's even more that I could probably come up with for those. So these are things that I'm kind of learning as I go because I don't have that many subscribers at all. But with the view for it to grow, to me, it's like anything. If you want something to get bigger, then you've got to kind of start and put the foundation down and start as you mean to go on. So that's kind of why I'm trying to do things and hopefully help others out that have got a channel and maybe make it more user friendly. When you go to it, rather than just what I see with a lot of people, unfortunately, is you just upload it and then you go into the landing page and there's nothing really there. It doesn't direct the user. It doesn't say, hey, do you want to do this? Here's this playlist. Here's that playlist. So
I've clearly got a lot to learn from you. And if you haven't subscribed to Megan, subscribe now. I'll put a link to her channel.
Thank you. Yes.
Because there's so much stuff there. I mean, it's really the wrong time. After the bank holiday weekend we had it, that would have been perfect because you'd have been basically up.
Oh, you could have been sitting in the garden with your beer and just been enjoying the channel.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's just perfect. Oh, we're so nerdy, aren't we? Right, sitting in the garden with a beer watching.
That's what I did this bank holiday weekend. I sat in the summer house.
Oh wait,
that's a shed in the bottom.
You have a summer house?
No, it's a shed in the bottom of the garden because Sarah Lagerquist, who you had on a few weeks ago, I said summer house, and she thought that meant I had a second property. I was like, no, it's just in the garden and it's a shed, but it's got curtains, so it's kind of a house.
It's got curtains. It's practically a second property. I just go with that. Yeah, exactly. I just go with the summer house. I mean, that sounds good.
I just don't pay taxes on it, so it's fine.
I'm clearly doing something wrong. I haven't got a place in the garden with curtains that I can go and retreat to and drink.
It's lovely. It's very
drink
nice,
beer and watch YouTube. That definitely seems to be, that's a good idea. Well, and there's a whole other part of your YouTube channel which is based around portals as well. So that seems to be, you seem to have a long history with portals, and certainly you seem to be very, very respected in the community with portals. That's it's like, oh, have you seen Megan's recent post on portals? And everyone's going, oh yeah, I've got to go and see that if they're doing portals. So yeah, really good stuff. I mean, how did you get into portals? What was your story there?
So the stories, I started using CRM in 2000. 12 maybe, but it was 2011 version that I started on, and I was an end user using it at a software company, and then became a power user, SIP user, and so on. And we needed to implement a support portal, and so it was ADX Studio back then, and it was like that banging your head against the wall experience. And so anyway, so started with that. And at the time I thought, oh, this is so limited, because I'd come from a world where I'd taught myself HTML and I'd built websites and I just sat and coded them and you know, and so I thought, oh, I just can't do this, and I can't go in and just, you know, put stuff in and do what I want. And that's just because I didn't really understand the language that it was, you know, that was written in. So then, you know, successfully implemented a portal. That's fine. It works successfully, but it was very, very limited based on my limited knowledge. Then sort of cut to, I guess, D365 and then implementing portals that way. And it was just like a whole new world opened up. And as I've kind of gone through the journey of implementing for customers and understanding CSS, understanding what I can do with it from that standpoint, but then getting into Liquid, I knew that it existed. It was this thing out there, but I didn't really know what it was. And then figuring out how to do something really basic, just to say, instead of welcome, it would say, welcome, Megan, once I'd logged in. And that, I was like, oh, right, well, what else can I do? What else can I learn?
Yeah.
And it was actually Kyle Hill from Hitachi, who he'd seen my first post about Liquid and then not challenged in a bad way, but challenged me and said, oh, but why don't you write about this? Why don't you write about that? To where then I had a whole series that was using Liquid. And then it kind of opened up doors where I thought, oh, but now I can do this and now I can do that, where I'd never understood Liquid before. And now I knew that I could expand on that skill set.
Cool. So do you find you're doing a lot of stuff server side, or do you still do a lot of things client side with JavaScript, etc.?
I would say I'm probably like a hybrid consultant. Yeah. So I'm technical. I think I'm a lot more technical than a lot of people that are, you know, consider themselves a functional consultant. So I think I lean more towards a technical side than a lot of others. But I'm not a developer by any means. I'm not no code. I'm light code. Maybe.
Oh, neat term. There's a middle ground there.
Yeah, we'll just throw these terms around. We'll just make them up.
It's like gradients of different colours, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But I appreciate it, and certainly with portals, I don't consider CSS to be code, but I know that there's other people in the community that I've spoken to and like, oh, but that's code. I'm like,
yeah.
To me, it's not. So I think as well, when you will get into, and I know this isn't the subject matter for this, but when you get into that sort of code, no code sort of scenario, I think a lot of it is the perception of the person that's going to do the task as to whether they view it as code or not. So
yeah.
So I think that's a challenge as well, isn't it? Is I don't view CSS as code. I don't view Liquid as code. But to some, they might think, oh, I could never do that because it's code.
Well, everything's a means to an end, right? So, you know, there's some things you've just got to get on and do, some hoops that you've just got to jump through to get what you need done. Yeah. So, and that's what I love about your videos, is that, you know, they're very easy to digest and they're very clearly about trying to achieve a particular objective. So, you know, I think that breaks down the boundaries for people, and people can see.
Absolutely. And I think my writing and also video style has come from a couple of reasons or motivators for being that way. One is when I first started out, and you know, Google is everybody's best friend when you're starting out, is I'd have an issue, or I'd have a business requirement that I was trying to resolve, and I would Google and I'd find what I thought was the answer, and I'd start reading it, and then all of a sudden it would just be, right, I'm completely lost, because the writer had assumed you had a certain level of knowledge. So it was almost like I felt that the resolution was shut out to me. It was like, well, sorry, you can't find out the answer because you don't understand enough. Whereas I thought that it probably was the solution. I just didn't get it. I didn't have that level of knowledge. So when I started writing, I thought, right, I don't want someone to come to my site and think it might be the answer for them, but not to be able to get past one of the steps because I've assumed that they know something. And I think also as well, I've been a trainer a lot. I started in the restaurant industry. I was a trainer there, and then was a trainer. Like I said, I worked for a software company, so I would train customers on how to use the recruitment software. So a lot of it stems from that as well, as kind of like, right, you've got to be methodical. You've got to speak to the lowest level of person that might be in that class or might be reading your blog post, and start from there. Don't ever insult the reader's intelligence, but also appreciate that, yes, but some people will skim over that and that's fine, but others, they will have needed that step and that screenshot in order to be able to understand
it. It sounds like you need to do a series on writing blog posts and doing instruction videos. I didn't realize you got that history and training as well. I mean, that clearly shows in your style. So
thank you. Yeah, it has to be, there's got to be a starting point, right? But I don't want my starting point to then skip and jump over to the next step.
I mean, if I'm reading something, even if I do already know that particular part, I'm actually quite thankful that it goes through in a step-by-step, because like you say, you can quite quickly get to a point where you think, well, how did I get here? I've missed a step.
Absolutely. And I've gone back sometimes, and I always try and reread my blog after it's come out and look at it from the initial reader's perspective. And that's where you'll spot the grammar, maybe a typo here or there. But also I've done it before where I've thought, I've completely missed out a screenshot that was important, and I've made that assumption that they would know what I was talking about, so I've added them back in.
I think I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of the grammar and also the missing out screenshots. So
my dad will usually tell me if there's some grammar.
Oh wait, your dad reads your stuff?
He was one of my first subscribers. It was my husband who I forced. I signed up for him. And then my dad and my brother, who begrudgingly, he's a developer, he begrudgingly signed up. And once I started talking about Liquid, he was like, oh, okay, I know Liquid. All right then. So it was almost like it was credible.
Yes.
Because I was talking about something he knew.
You finally got acceptance now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will. I will subscribe to this.
I'll carry on reading.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think my wife subscribes to my channel, so you're already one up.
No, but that's where you force.
Right. Okay. That's what I've done wrong. Yeah. Maybe I just steal a phone and just subscribe.
Just subscribe it. So.
Well, one of my son's friends actually said to me recently, "Oh yeah, I saw your recent video. It was really good." And it's like, "Oh, okay." They're 16, so
Oh, that's cool though. They're starting out young then.
I don't think they've watched it, but there we go.
Oh, okay, fair enough. It's
cool
hard to no, it's hard to build up that people say, oh, your blog posts are everywhere, blah blah blah, but I think it's very hard sometimes to have an appreciation or an understanding of actually what the reach is, because it used to be when you first had a website, that was the only way to get the content was via an RSS feed, or someone subscribing to some kind of automated email process, and now it's like, I know that there's people that read the stuff or watch things, but you never really know how much. I mean, you've got your Google Analytics, all the rest of it, but sometimes it's hard to kind of quantify and see, well, how is your reach? Because you've only got X number of people that have subscribed to your YouTube channel or that have subscribed to your emails and stuff like that. So I think it can sometimes feel like you are just pushing stuff out there and... Did anyone care? Did anyone read it? Yeah, exactly.
I got one like. Oh, that was all right then.
So having my dad and my husband subscribe, that's good.
So everyone go and like Megan's videos, otherwise she's not going to do any more. So just go and like them all now.
Just subscribe. It's fine. That'll do.
But it's interesting because we've got talking about this, but I think especially in the area that you with portals. I think this stuff is really important, probably not talked about enough, because the overlap between engagement in that sort of space, in the social selling and the YouTube and on all that level is actually quite important when it comes to business and making sure that you've got something in a portal that is going to be consumed and meet people's expectations, because people have got really high expectations these days, especially with the professional YouTubers who, the content that they're putting out on a regular basis is so high, at such a high standard. I mean, so much so that it's actually, as high as something you might get in Netflix or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe people who are watching this, because this series is called Power Platform Unpacked, and portals or Microsoft portals haven't really made it to the Power Platform as such yet. So if you could just like describe and summarize all your experience into a small few words, what would it be to describe the Microsoft Portals?
I think if you think you know websites and how to create a website, think again, because it's quite a humbling experience. The way in which the portals are created is not basically setting up a bunch of static pages as you would with a site, or even something like WordPress where you're using templates and themes and all the rest of it. There's similarities, but it's basically, if you think about a view of a list of your contacts, or a view of a list of all of your accounts or your leads, you've basically got a view with a list of all of your web pages or your page templates, or you've got content snippets where you can pull different bits of functionality into your pages. So there's all of these new exciting, because I'm a geek and I love it, but there's all these exciting new entities that all do different things. And it's really kind of discovering what they are. And I think you can set up a portal really easily and have a portal out of the box that pretty much works just by going through and provisioning it. That's it. Job done. You could just use it like that. But you'll have no branding, so you need to understand CSS. You'll have no emails being generated, notifications to case owners, notifications to customers, all the rest of it. You won't have those things. You've got to really start to then get to grips with the different types of entities and dig and discover. But you could just have a portal just by provisioning it, and that's it. It's then the power of what you can do once you start delving and start understanding those different types of entities that is going to get your customers a website that is powerful and really takes the customers on a journey and really provides them with what they need.
Yeah, because a lot of people that I talk to have got content management systems, and they've got already a well-established website. And I think sometimes it's a tricky sell, because they say, well, why would I just go and use Microsoft Portals when actually I've got a perfectly decent website already, which has got a really good content management workflow with approvals and all of that kind of stuff. So, what would you say to that sort of line of thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Or the opposite, which is worse, where someone says, oh, well, let's just move our website into a portal. I've heard that before as well. And to me, it's always the two do not replace one another. The two should be going along hand in hand in harmony with one another. And they should enhance the experience of the customer, of the lead, whoever it might be. So the website, that is your branding, that is your face to the world. So the portal is not the face to the world. That is basically the continued journey and customer experience that you want to provide. So they should, to me, it's just not a thing that should ever be done. They've got two completely different purposes. The level of security, the level of access in terms of setting up web roles, who gets to do what, who gets to see what, who gets to interact with data, the ability to set up forums or having your knowledge articles, having message boards, setting up those types of functionality to where you're creating that community within your customer base as well, rather than, again, having it where that's all exposed to the outside world potentially. You've also then got new functionality as it's released that Microsoft would be, putting out there, that if you've built your own website to speak to your CE environment, whatever you're using, you're going to miss out on new functionality potentially that's going to come out, and then you're always tied to a developer. Nothing against developers, Scott, but you're always tied to a developer that then needs to, you need to have that relationship with, so that, they can always go back in and change stuff, recustomize, fix things and so on, whereas Microsoft are going to handle that for you.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that the portals is becoming a low-code, no-code version of getting that customer engagement mechanism going, and
Absolutely.
So, I mean, what do you think because at the moment, Portals is, as you say, quite technical in the sense that you have to know Liquid and you have to know CSS and HTML and JavaScript, and you have to know how to configure, web forms and membership and all that kind of stuff. But I have noticed recently there's this preview editor thing on the side, that the authoring experience, which kind of looks like a sort of someone's gone, it'll be a really good idea, and they start it and then they go, oh, there's something over here, it's a bit shiny, I'll just go over to this shiny thing,
trying not to twist my face on this, but yeah,
and they just forgotten about it. And then but it does say, oh, more coming soon, but that was like about 8 months ago, I think. Now is like,
yeah, I was gonna say that was well over last year, like well into the
so what's the score there? What's going on?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, and I also hate the fact that you can't turn, like, I haven't found a way to stop it from showing, so that if you're got the administrator's role, like, it's always going to be there, and if you can turn it off, that's great, but I haven't found a way to do it. It looked promising when it first came out. It would be great if they would refocus on that, or either put it in a timeline as to when stuff's actually going to be where it's a fully comprehensive editor. But to say, try our new editor, and then you go into it and there's stuff missing and you can't actually do it and you just see coming soon, then why would anyone bother? So I think it's a shame that it was released prematurely, shall we say, and then hopefully they will realise and either go back to it or remove it altogether. To me, that's another interesting thing with the portal as well, in terms of you've basically got two ways to customize it. Either from logging into the portal itself from the front end and doing stuff that way, which you can do just as easily, or go into CE and actually go to the entities and create new records and so on. So it's interesting that in general, I've always found that to be quite a unique approach, where you've basically got those two different paths that you can go down.
And now we've got three, so...
Now you've got three, but you can't really...
I feel like we've been down on Portals. I think we should say Portals is great. Use Portals. It's really good.
I love Portals. Portals is one of the most exciting things for me. I mean, like I was saying before, in terms of starting to get a greater understanding of the capability that it's got and what you could actually do with it. And I know that for me, I feel like I've only just scratched the surface, again, because I'm not a developer. So I get and I understand things bit by bit, but the fact that by learning Liquid and really starting to figure things out, I was able to create an inbox messaging system in the portal. I was able to create it where you can have the user upload a photograph and then use their photo in their portal. So things like that I never would have been able to do before. So it's a sort of, for me, it's always a drip feed. I work on a new project, I learn something new, or I spend way too long at the weekend and trying to figure something out because it's really annoying me and I feel like you should be able to do this. I'm going to find a way. So it's like that with a portal for me. Every day is a new learning experience.
You go into your summer house for inspiration.
I will now. Now that we have some summery weather, I absolutely will.
Yeah. Well, I think Canvas apps for me has been a real revolution in that ability to do things that just literally you would never have been able to do without very expensive and costly and high total cost of ownership, development, and all that kind of stuff. So, but one of the things is that people say, wait, so we can't make an app and then make it publicly available. So to me, Portals and Microsoft Portals kind of seems like that way of making something available to the wider world. I mean, do you see there being a crossover between that low code, no code, expression based Canvas app mentality and where Portals could go?
Oh, you mean in terms of like setting something up like you do with a Canvas?
Yeah, well, like Liquid, right?
That way and have an expression.
Yeah, I mean, like Liquid is, it's quite complicated. You've got to learn how it works, and you've got to learn fetch XML and all of that kind of stuff. And but I mean, how do you think they could improve that workflow?
I mean, I guess if you think of, I've never used Wix because I'm a WordPress fan, but it's similar in concept in terms of you can use like a sort of a build editor, drag and drop type thing in some scenarios. And that means you can have somebody that is extremely knowledgeable in gardening or aeroplanes or whatever it might be, their chosen field, and they want to share that knowledge. but they are not technical in the slightest and they haven't got a clue. So they can use these services and just build a pretty awesome looking website, to be honest. I mean,
this portal,
don't need that.
This podcast is sponsored by Wix, so So
oh, there you go.
It's
then
not.
That's okay.
It's not. No.
Oh, okay.
But if they want to sponsor me and give me
WordPress.
money, that's great.
So in terms of how we've gone and in terms of progressed and being able to create just a basic website, that's huge now in terms of anybody could do it, really. It would be cool if you could have something like that for a portal and be able to kind of do almost like a drag and drop, and maybe that's where that third option is maybe going to go at some point.
Yeah.
I think there'll always be a need for someone to be able to go underneath the cover, so to speak, and actually need to know a bit of Liquid or coding, or to take it that extra step further. So yes, maybe they could change things to where you could make it a little bit prettier, maybe have like some kind of theme editor to where, okay, well, I want the header text to be bold and font size 22 and color sepia.
Sepia, that's good colour.
That's the only colour.
Yeah, like you've painted your walls. It's kind of like,
yeah, exactly.
It is in your lovely decor and like nice curtains behind you as well. I really like.
You know that this is my hotel room and not my.
You've gone and ruined it.
Choice
You've gone and ruined it.
Curtains. Yeah, it's a lovely manner.
If you do like Megan's choice of curtains, then do feel free to put it in the comments below.
Below.
Yeah, absolutely,
comment
absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, so if there was something like that where you could just drag and drop and use some kind of color selector, stuff like that would be awesome, wouldn't it? But I still think then to be able to go that next step and have it customized and have it display the person's name or their account information, whatever, using Liquid, then I guess they could go down that path.
Well, yeah.
But then do you want everyone being able to create a portal?
See, now we're getting into the whole kind of low code, no code strokes developer pro dev kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Wix, I mean, we joke about Wix, but actually Wix is a very good platform for creating websites and some really very, very advanced websites. And they've done a very good job with it. So
absolutely.
I think it does has got a lot of similarities to the way that Canvas apps and connectors work. So, the pro dev the pro dev involvement at the Canvas app level is about creating custom connectors and maybe custom controls in the future that does very specific things that would be difficult to do through a drag and drop expression based language, like you're saying. But it's a building block, right? So it's about Lego and about putting things together. So and 90% of it is just like navigation and content and where do you want your image to show and like you're saying, and your particular choice of Pantone sepia or whatever it is. So I think that's, for me, that's the real thing. That's the difficult bit. It's about trying to make it, you get there 90% of the way there very easily, and then really being able to do your pro dev stuff that is tricky in that last 10%, and being able to separate the two so they're not kind of all nastily intertwined with each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, I guess what Bootstrap does, right? I mean, Bootstrap tries to do that, doesn't it? Now, do you use Bootstrap in all your websites?
I'll be honest, no. So whenever I am doing style sheets for a portal, I create a brand new custom style sheet and I only put in the new styles or where I've made changes to a style, so that when you upload it, it's going to use that style sheet first. So it will look at your style sheet and then it will go to the default ones. And I just find it easier. It's just the way that I've always done it, to be able to modify and add in new styles and adjust the existing styles. But yeah, I think when I say, do we want everyone to be able to do it? I think it's not just about having the knowledge or the skill set of being able to customize a portal. I think that also has to be, if you're going to be doing that, you kind of have to be the web designer and the web developer in one, rather than you've got some people that they do the different jobs because one can't develop and one doesn't have the mindset of being able to design it, if that makes sense. So so do you want someone, you've got to have somebody that's got a little bit of sort of common sense, user experience. How should the navigation look? What color schemes should you use? I wouldn't hire me if I said I was going to use sepia, so that's fine. But you've still got to have those additional skills on top of just being able to do a drag and drop, right? So even if it was changed, I'm not saying it should be for everyone to do. Yeah,
it's a tricky one, actually, having that that creative element alongside the technical element. I mean, whenever I used to do content management server. Goodness, this is like dating me back in the .com time. So, and that was always about being given a style sheet and some HTML that you're given from a designer, and they spent hours and hours and hours making sure that it would work on all the different flavors of every single browser, and then you would just simply take that HTML and make sure you could accurately reproduce it through code. But now we don't live in that world anymore, do we? We live in this democratization world, so where people are producing content in marketing, producing content in sales or in service, and everyone should be able to produce that content. So how do you think Microsoft Portals could help with that separation between the workflow of the creative versus the actual the content providers?
Yeah, I mean, if they went down the path of being able to make it easier to customize, then I guess as long as it's the right person, they could have the role of being able to customize, the role of being able to add content and so on. At the minute, okay, so you've got the administrator role. Yes, you could create another web role that's got certain elements, but I don't think you could create a web role that says, right, well, you can create a web page, but you can't put any of the content in it, or you can put, like, I don't know how granular you could get with that. So
okay, we're just gonna and hopefully see Microsoft solve all these problems in the next year, and then presumably they'll just make Microsoft Portals part of Power Platform. Is that going to happen? I mean, do you think it should happen, or do you think no, this is the Power Platform, something different?
No, I think if it's done right, then absolutely. But again, it's like there's still an element of code that I don't see how they could completely kind of get away from that. I think things like you've got the Power BI integration, and you've got the ability to put dashboards and stuff in the portal. I've started playing around. You mentioned the Forms Pro series that I've started, and I try and. I'm going to sound like a right dork and such a loser. I try and have like 1 to 2 weeks of blog posts in the bank, so to speak, sitting ready to go. So the next thing that I'm planning is for a couple of weeks' time, but that is to be embedding the surveys into the portal. What I'd like to then be able to do is to try and pass through some parameters so that the person that's logged in, when they respond and put in the survey, then it knows that it was that person.
Yeah. Which
isn't necessarily obvious if you could do it or not, but I'm going to try and make it.
I look forward to seeing that. No.
So being able to kind of use other elements of the entire sort of Microsoft stack and say, oh, okay, well, that doesn't necessarily fit in the portal, but what could we do with that, and could we put it in the portal, and could we make it work? So we talk about Power Apps and Canvas apps and all the rest of it. Is that something that in the future you could maybe have, but that only would work if you allowed non-licensed users to be able to interact, right? So,
yeah, the licensing, let's just not go there, right?
Yeah. But how cool would that be?
That would be amazing. I definitely think that you're onto something there. Definitely.
I'll tell James Phillips.
Yeah, so. if you could just pass that on, that would be great. Yeah, your mate.
Yeah.
Well, Megan, it's been an absolute privilege and an honor to speak to you.
Likewise.
Did I see a video of you doing a sort of like a kind of a superhuman jump on Twitter recently?
Oh, it was only like 20 inches off.
No.
4 inches off the ground.
It was like, oh, what's Megan doing? You're like, whoa, how?
Yeah. So I think, and I'm sure, Scott, you cannot relate because you've got to be only about 25. But once you get to a certain age, your mind says, I'm still 23, 24, but your body says otherwise. It's like, no, you're not. Stop that right there. So I got to the point where, like, I'm not someone that's, like, loved exercise ever, really. Like, I would always see if I could get out of doing PE and, you know, just never really been my thing. But I got to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to start doing something. I'm over 40. Like, let's start actually doing some exercise and stop being lazy. So I forced myself and signed up for an 8-week fitness boot camp. And the first couple of weeks, it was that box right there. It scares the crap out of me. And then I just thought, sod it, so I just jumped on it. So that was my I'm really proud of my achievement video.
It was amazing. I mean, you could be a member of the Avengers, so, you know.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, flying is my next challenge. That'll be the goal.
And then you'll have a whole YouTube channel on fitness before we know it. You know, this is gonna.
No, I don't want to be one of those people. No.
Or at least, detox eating healthily or something like that. You know that.
Oh, I didn't say anything about that, Scott. Just the jumping.
Just the jumping, yeah.
Just the fitness, yeah.
Okay, well, it's really great to speak to you. I really look forward to all your upcoming blog posts and your YouTube channel, and I will put link to your YouTube channel for everyone to go and subscribe now and like every single video. And
yes. And if we're not already connected on Twitter, I love sharing other people's content and connecting with people, chatting, helping people. So absolutely connect with me, Megan V Walker, and then obviously my website has the blog posts for all of the videos that you'll see.
Excellent.
Which is also meganvwalker.com. I had to get those in.
It's definitely a Hollywood name. You should definitely be in.
No, only if it said Megan Walker.
I forgot about this. Yes, go on. Yeah, go on. Say your name in American.
Megan Victoria. I can't do the middle name. Megan Walker.
And when you have to offer a glass of water, and what do you say?
Water.
Yeah. Very good.
Thanks.
All right.
Sorry, American people.
No, they'll be
My
like, wow.
husband's American, so I feel like I've got a total pass.
They'll be like, wow, she must be American. Yeah, with that accent. Yeah.
I know.
I can't do accents, so I'm just insanely jealous. That's what I do.
It's okay, I'll teach you.
All right, Megan, great speaking to you, and I will hopefully speak to you very, very soon.
Excellent. Likewise. Thanks, Scott.
Megan's an absolute rock star, isn't she? Well, thanks for watching. And if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a like. And I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to hear more of, what you'd like me to speak about, or people you'd like me to interview. And I'd just like to hear what you're up to. And also don't forget to go and check out Megan's YouTube channel and her blog. I'll put all the links below. And until next time, take care. Cheers.